E10. We made it to double digits.
Yeah, 10. Yeah, double digits.
We
Nice
made it to
work.
double digits.
I want to show off my cup.
Alan, you're talking over Ron's cup.
Okay, you do the cup thing.
Can you look at my cup?
It
Another
says,
white
for
boy
anyone
with
who's
it.
not watching the video, another white boy with the podcast.
Thank you, Ellen.
Did you make that?
Claire got me this.
Claire got you that.
Another
That's-
white boy with a podcast.
That's amazing.
That's in my.
We're
that's in
filling.
my-
Wait, what does she mean? Another? We're filling a niche here. That
He
has-
means
Apparent-
like apart from the two of
No,
us.
apparently there's one or two other people in the world have done the exact same thing as us.
Wait, what? We've got a podcast called We Were Told We Should Do a Podcast?
Yeah.
Well, that's frustrating. Maybe that's why we're doing. Oh, okay. I've lost a lot of inspiration.
We should look into that.
We should look into that.
Anyway,
Guys,
ladies and gentlemen.
episode 10, double digits. This is a milestone. Ali, has this ever been done before?
I don't think it has,
No,
actually.
it hasn't been.
I've been doing a lot of research
Yeah.
and I have not seen a podcast that's reached 10 episodes.
No.
So well done.
We showed them.
Yeah, you really did.
Yeah.
We've
Go
done
on.
it.
Yeah, you've
Is
done
this
it.
going to be our thing we do episode 300? Has this ever been done? Are we going to keep doing this?
I think so. I love it.
I love it. Keep doing it.
I love it.
You got to celebrate the milestones.
You gotta
Ron.
celebrate the
You just got to
milestones.
celebrate it.
Double
Now,
digits.
This episode, we've kind of been teasing almost every episode
Yeah.
up until this point.
Yeah.
I do
some-
want to actually give a quick disclaimer on this one.
Yeah.
So
go on.
this episode contains discussions about mental health. So we kind of advise listener discretion because, we're going to be delving into some pretty deep topics and make sure you're in the right headspace to be listening to this. We've left some resources in the episode description.
Yeah. This is most certainly our experience with mental health, I would say.
Yes.
I'm the one that's going to be kind of just like being almost the host of this one, mainly because you guys have probably got the most recent experiences of dealing with your mental health. So it makes sense for me to be the one kind of. I've got my own journey as well.
Yeah.
But you've got more recent kind of journeys.
And just continuing on from what you said, we are not professionals. This is just our own personal stories, and hopefully there are some positive takeaways to take away from this podcast.
We're gonna have
I like to think so.
our own advice from our own experiences. But we, like Alan says, we're not professionals. Don't go. What works for them will work for me. We're just a bunch of guys that have our own experiences.
We're some white boys with a podcast.
We're white boys with a podcast and mental health issues from time to time.
To be fair, part of the reason that we wanted to talk about this, and you may have seen our mental health videos on YouTube, is we are quite passionate about mental health. It's something that the three of us talk about a lot. Not just the three of us, but our wider Viva family with Ali and Ben and Brett and the rest of the Viva crew. Which I think it's very healthy that we talk about mental health so much.
I think so.
I actually I was talking to, I can't remember who it was, someone the other day, and they're like, yeah, me and my workmates and my friends, we just never talk about mental health. I'm like, oh man, I feel like we talk about it all the time at Viva.
Yeah.
We're pretty open about it, eh?
Yeah.
Like it is something that even in today's day and age, I mean, this is going to delve into questions I've got down the list, but even in today's day and age, it's especially in men, especially in New Zealand men, I think it's still something that is not talked about much.
It immediately takes a weight off sharing how you're feeling or sharing how your mental health journey is going with others. Right. I made it anytime I was in really bad headspace, I made it a priority to tell you guys about it, because then you get a little bit of, I don't know, just something lifts.
A weight shared is a weight lifted.
That's exactly it. And I really quickly before I proceed, quick save. I've saved it there. I'm going to load back up. This is just such an important chat that I want to be able to. I want to be as articulate as possible. And I've been kind of stressing about this one for a little bit because it is so important, and I know so many people listening do have mental health journeys that they've been on or are currently on, and I really want this podcast to resonate with people and to hopefully make them not feel so alone. So I hope this does that for you. Because the other thing talking about it does is normalizing it.
That is the main thing that I want, that hopefully this podcast can do for people. It's just normalize it.
Yeah, and I think since we started openly talking about it, even just within Viva, it became apparent that oh my God, everyone's got a thing.
Bro.
And everyone's got a thing, from either a small thing that they're going through to a massively large
massive thing.
Yeah.
And oh my God, mental health can feel like the biggest thing. It's all encompassing while you're in the thick of it. So It's very hard.
I'd love to dive in.
Let's go, man.
So first of all,
No, I'd like to swim around the edge for a bit.
Yeah,
longer.
you can- I'm too nervous to dive in.
I'm too nervous.
I've got the save. Let's
I don't
go.
want to talk about it. Okay, so I'd like to know a brief overview of your mental health history. Like, give me a label of.
Give me those labels
give me
you
them
slap
labels.
on your head. Well,
Yeah.
I have 2 labels.
Okay.
The first label I got was when I was about 19. I think it was about 19, 20. Was I got slapped with the label of depression officially from my doctor, which was that was fucking cool.
Yeah, cool.
I felt like such a loser being like, oh, I've got mental health problems. Cool. Cool. And then more recently, although I think this is probably something that I've had even longer than depression, is anxiety as well.
Yeah. Yeah, my labels are anxiety as well. I've always been a very anxious person as far back as I can remember. And the other one is something called Pure O or Pure OCD, which was something
I saw someone selling that down the road.
It's just down the road. It's Doug down the road.
Yeah, Doug down the road. selling Pure.
He says charges a good price. No, it's a Pure OCD, and it's something I wasn't aware existed until I was in the thick of it. And
I don't want to delve too much into that yet, but the OCD to me had always been quite a stigmatized label with like opening doors and closing doors,
Obsessive
and scratching
compulsive
things and,
disorder was what
obsessive compulsive
that stands
disorder.
for.
Yeah. Whereas
So-
when you were diagnosed, I learned a lot about it. That I was quite wrong.
It's so that typically that is what OCD is, but Pure O is really focusing on the internal compulsion. So it's about it's instead of external compulsions like closing the door or washing your hands. It's actually more to do with your compulsion is rumination and intrusive thoughts and the inability to control your mind. And it really is just the most terrifying, isolating, heartbreaking thing that I can imagine. You're a prisoner in your own mind and nobody can help you. And the majority of the videos and stuff out there, research, I was doing a lot of research. I guess another compulsion is actually just looking into it, trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. There wasn't much that people knew about it or knew how to deal with it. Until, potentially, we'll probably be talking about this later. There are ways in which you can kind of tackle it.
So I experienced from a very young age I don't know what the official label for this, but the closest thing I can think of is actually similar to what you experienced. Because I remember you actually called me like years ago when you first started going through it.
Yeah.
Because you knew about my history.
Yeah.
And mine came from, it wasn't to do with like, I'm depressed about a thing or this or an external factor. My brain just, after smoking weed, fucking just malfunctioned.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I call them thought spirals. I went into this state of my brain is broken.
Yeah.
And I was consequently very depressed in my teens. But I don't know what the official label of that is. But
It sounds like, I remember you describing it, and it's like, that sounds exactly like what I was going through, or very, very similar
most
to it.
certainly has elements of depression as well.
Yeah.
it was like my brain is stuck. I can't stop thinking about the thing.
And it's as soon as you wake up.
Yeah.
Right?
It's-
It's as soon
yeah,
as I remember very distinctly waking up. There's a brief second, like
Yeah.
before your mind remembers that you have a mental health issue, where it's just that you see the sky, you see that it's a cloudless sky, and you're like, and then the thunderstorm rolls in, and
that's
you're
right.
like,
I'm me.
that's right, I'm me,
no.
and I've got this thing, and oh my God, I'm going to carry this with me for the rest of the day. Sorry, not to hijack.
No. I think that's good enough just to kind of just a setup.
Yeah.
So the next question is, when did you first seriously battle with your mental health? What was your first, I'm not okay moment?
I guess for me it was about when I was 19 or 20, maybe even a little bit older actually. I had been struggling with feeling sad, and obviously I just thought this is just sadness. This is what you feel like when you're sad. And I quite still clearly remember one day I was still living at home, and I was just I had a fight with my parents about feeling undervalued. I think basically my depression was just going, you're a piece of shit, everyone hates you. And I literally just got in my car. I had a fight with my mum, and I just got in the car and drove away. And obviously it was a pretty big fight. I don't fight with my parents that frequently.
Yeah.
And I just drove, and I don't even know where I was going. I mean, I know where I went, but like at the time I didn't have a destination. I don't think I was as dark as planning to do anything about going, you know. But like my mum was calling me, and I was purposefully not picking up, and she was texting. Obviously, she was
very worried about,
very freaking the fuck out.
Were you open with your parents about this
Not
journey?
then.
You were
Not then, because I didn't know what it was.
Yeah,
How old, sorry, were you?
I think I was about 19.
So you're like
possibly
late
20.
teens. You're a
Yeah.
teenager going through teenage things from her point of view.
And realistically, I'd probably been going through it for about 2 or 3 years, but didn't know what it was. And I basically just what it felt like, and I have experienced this a lot since, is it felt like there was, like in a cartoon, a thundercloud over my head, and I just couldn't see through that.
Yeah.
And I drove away, and purposefully what I could see as I was just like hanging up on my mum, and then like almost out of spite actually stopped hanging up on her and just let the phone ring, which was probably making her feel even worse.
Yeah.
And eventually I picked it up, and she was in fucking tears, and it made me feel horrible. So I came home, and then mum and dad forced me to go to see a doctor.
Yeah. Wow.
And then he labeled me with chemical depression. So.
But I, as much as this thing of labels is a funny thing, do you find something comforting about when something's like officially labeled?
Not then, I didn't, because I felt like I've been labeled, and I didn't want to tell anyone about it for the longest time. Because like, oh fuck, I've been labeled, I'm broken, or something like that. I do now.
When I was about 16 or so, this is the origins of my journey. Was I was smoking, my first time ever smoking marijuana, and I'd never done it before, and I was excited, and I had quite a lot. And then I remember my brain just kind of went, the best way to describe it is a thought spiral. And my brain was like hijacked by itself. And I was like, and I remember thinking I was going to be stuck inside this thought for eternity.
Can I read what? So a while ago, when I was like in the thick of pure O and just having the worst time of my entire life, I made this Instagram post that I don't know why I did it. I was just like, I don't want this to have just complete power over me. And there was something about, I don't know, sharing and putting it down on paper and sharing it with people, like that. The idea of it made it a little bit lighter. But something I wrote very similar to that was, so intrusive thoughts, sometimes referred to as pure O, is really scary. The thoughts tend to take the form of something that disgusts you, not necessarily your thing, but literally the thing you want to happen least in the whole wide world. Then it sets the record to repeat. The result is the host having an emotional reaction to the thought, which empowers the thought, which strengthens the emotional reaction. Before you know it, you're spiraling down a rabbit hole of horrors, which is this perpetual cycle, which, and looking into the science of brains, and again, not a doctor, not a scientist, but the whole neurological pathways that the brain creates. If it's creating these little highways, and the more you think about it, the more entrenched this thought and emotion combination becomes, to the point where it's probably one of the strongest thought patterns you've got in your mind, that it really does start to feel like it defines you. Yes, and does that sound similar to
it's
what?
It's very similar. My one wasn't focused on like a thought that disgusts me or whatever. It was just, the thought was this is part of the problem, is how ludicrous the thought was. The thought was, you're gonna keep thinking this thought. What thought? This thought. That doesn't make any sense. You're gonna keep thinking this thought. This thought. What thought? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, think about how ludicrous that thought little pattern.
That was one of my thoughts as well.
And it just gets faster and faster. And I'm like, what? How do I get out of this?
And it literally is. Like you're saying, that getting faster and faster. It literally is. It's strengthening. It feels like it's just getting faster and faster, and you it's just getting stronger and stronger, and is overpowering you. And the more you resist it, the stronger it gets. The irony is.
And I remember while I was like high on weed, I was in this, and I felt like I was literally in hell.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I've stepped outside of reality. I am now in this hellscape, which I'm going to be stuck in for. I believed I was going to be stuck in this
brain.
for eternity. Like
Yeah.
I'd stepped outside of the fucking Matrix or something.
And it's horrifying because it does stick with you, and it does stick with you for a long time.
Yeah.
Which reinforces the, oh my God, eternity thing.
Yeah.
Like if you wake up and the first thing you think of is that thing that immediately fuels it, like it's throwing gas on the fire.
Starts the spiral for the day.
Yeah. And after months of it, you're like, this is my life. This is me literally for eternity. And you hear like going online and doing your own research it can be helpful, but it can also be incredibly detrimental.
That's why people say never be a Google doctor.
Never be a Google doctor, because there are people in comments of these like, what is pure OCD or mental health journeys and stuff. And the comments are like, I've been dealing with this for 20 years. Don't give up the fight. And I'm like, oh my God, no, I can't. Like, I'm on the same page as you. I never got to this level where I was like really considering the worst case scenario, but I definitely understood it. And I was like, if this is what life is, I don't necessarily want to be
I know,
here.
I've been to those dark thoughts as well.
Yeah.
Can we rewind a bit with you? I've got memories when you called me one day. Tell me the origins of what was your moment.
Yeah, my one's a tricky one to pin down. My mental health, I think, very much ties to my fear of one of my big fears in life of essentially being here on Earth one time, like, and what's the most like, and what scares me the most, and that I think is isolation and losing people that I care about most. Which, as I've gone through life, I've found more and more people that I care about, and the intrusive thoughts / PRO really targets them.
Yeah.
So early relationships, it would target them, and to the point where it was like, it would drive a wedge in my relationships with other people, which made it even scarier because I realized the power of the thought, or the power of mental health, where this thought has affected me so much that it's gotten out of my mind and has affected reality. Like
it's affecting your real life.
It's affecting my real life. This girl that I've had breakups before, but based on this relationship that I was in and was really excited about is ending because of a thought, like of a mental illness that and I think I was young and naive that like I kept pushing it away, and then I'd go through life for months, maybe years, and it wouldn't be a massive issue. I definitely noticed that I'd overthink things at parties, or like if a conversation didn't go too well, I'd ruminate on it, or I'd stress about things that I was like, I'm pretty sure people don't stress about this stuff as much as I am. But it wasn't until it was two things. It was really settling down with Chelsea and not wanting that relationship to end, where I was like, I noticed it popping its ugly head up, but Chelsea was really, really supportive and really stuck with it to where I got comfortable enough to not worry about it. But the big one for me was having kids, was when Remy was born, where the intrusive thoughts just went NATO on my child. And I was like, oh my God, this mental health thing is targeting my child.
Real life.
In real life.
Like having a little demon inside your brain.
It really feels like a little demon.
Think these horrible thoughts. And you're going, no, no, get out of my head.
Yeah, I got.
I'm going to make you focus on these thoughts.
Yeah, yeah. It's like what intrusive thoughts are is literally showing your brain what morally disgusts you, like, and setting it to repeat. And it's like, and I'd had experience of literally relationships being torn apart because of this, and I was like, I think that was the big. So I'd been living with this for years, but it really came to a head when I had Remy, and was like, I'm not gonna, like, I could see this path of going, oh my God, I'm literally anxious of my child. It became a trigger where Remy would come into the room and I'd be triggered by her because what she reminded me of was this mental health.
I remember
journey that I was on.
Getting a phone call from you and you've
This was
sounded
before, Remy. This was
Is
like,
it?
yeah. This was when I was marrying, very
Yeah.
close to marrying Charles, I think.
And I remember you were on like this long. You called me because you'd heard me talk about my kind of thought spirals journey, and you were on a long drive, I think from Wellington to Auckland or something. And so all you had time was just to think,
To ruminate.
I was just
And I remember you kind of going, bro, and you sounded different, and I was like, well, what's wrong, man?
Yeah.
And you're like, bro, my brain's not quite right now. I can't stop like my thinking, like I'm getting stuck in these similar thought spirals that you were getting stuff in. Like, help.
It was literally like now you're in Auckland, I'm in Wellington, which is just so everyone knows the opposite side of the country, or the North Island. I'm like, help me, bro. Like,
and I was like, describe it. And you're like, I'm ruminating on things and stuff, and I can't stop it. How do I just? My brain's broken, bro.
Yeah,
like, you were really panicking.
I was in like Chelsea's found me like in a ball on the floor, like just crying. When it's at the worst, because you're literally your brain is wrapped up in thorns. It's like you're literally, it makes you feel you're isolated in your own mind and nobody can help you. You have to figure this out yourself.
That's the isolated in your own mind and no one can help you is the feeling that I get a lot from depression as well. And it's good that you called Ron, because I genuinely feel, especially in that kind of scenario where it feels like you're isolated, is even just not even having a person do anything, just having a person there or just to talk to, even talk about something else. Kind of takes you away from that. And it may not even necessarily lessen it, but it stops it entrenching further. But good on you for calling someone.
I remember giving, like, I remember kind of also saying, dude, I can give you the best advice I had.
I remember you
but
saying.
Like short term, here, fuck, I'm gonna try and fix it. I'm gonna try and fix it on the phone.
I will fix you.
But I remember going, like, bro, this kind of worked for me. I'm not a professional. And I remember saying, what worked for me when I went to a psychologist years ago, when I was a teenager, was this is the strategy, was these thought spirals that you're having, you want to gain control of them by trying to make them happen. And it worked for me. It's like you try and make them, speed the thoughts up, make it worse, gain control of them. By the way, serious note, this is, don't try this. And like, unless if you're battling with something like this, the thing I'm saying right now, don't try this unless you've talked to a psychiatrist. Because it didn't work for Ellen.
It didn't work for me. No. Yeah, I remember hearing that, being like, and I understand the theory of this, and I had I don't know if I'd spoken to professionals yet. It probably came after, where they kind of suggested similar things, as just like normalize it, or like don't shy away from it. But you were definitely
actually. So I'll finish it. So the theory was that worked for me was try and speed it up, make it worse, make these thought spirals worse until they get so fast that they pop and disappear. And it kind of worked for me. So that was the theory. But and
then I tried that, and I think, and I don't know if this is definitively the reason or not, because my intrusive thoughts were so visual, and so if I did focus on them, that just increased their clarity and their weight and their power over me. And it was, I remember trying for like, I didn't try for long. I remember lying there trying for like 30 seconds or something, and I was just like, oh God, no, like this is, yeah, man. And again, just to reiterate, like, intrusive thoughts are, for those of you that don't deal with this, first of all, lucky you, but they are the most horrible things you can imagine, and that your brain, like we were kind of alluding to it, there's kind of, it feels like there's a little demon in your mind being like, what about this image? What about this one? Does this fuck you up?
Yeah.
And this one fucks you up. Look at this one. And then like it's getting closer and closer, and so you fucking weirdo. Like
stop looking at this.
Stop looking at this.
Why are you thinking about?
Why are you thinking about this?
Why are you thinking about that?
Because you're having such a guttural, emotional, genuine, like authentic reaction from like such an intellectual level. It's from such a like, what's the term? Like
visceral.
The visceral, like it's from your soul. you hate everything about this image. It does, it kind of in a strange way reinforces the image and makes it harder to not think about that image.
Yeah, and I'm assuming, because your experience is different to mine slightly, you're also incredibly judgmental of yourself.
Yeah, and I'm a very emotional person and quite insecure a lot of the time. Like these like emotions hit me really, really hard, which I think gets ties to this. So when I see these things, I do get probably the thing is, like, this is the bizarre thing. Everyone gets intrusive thoughts. Every single person on the planet, but 99% of them can have an intrusive thought and go, that was weird. I'm moving on with my day now. For someone with pure O, they go, why did I have that thought? Wait, hold on, like, brain, shut up. Why did I think that thought? Wait a second. I like, for example, am I a serial killer? Do I want to do that? Do I want to do that thing? No, you don't want to do that thing. And it's the polar opposite. Like, in my research, one of the helpful videos I saw was just a psychiatrist explaining, no, that is the last thing. It's actually proof you're a good person. If you have pure O and these disgusting images are disgusting you are a good person.
Congratulations, Alan.
Thank you. I'm a good person. But just for the listeners, like, if you have these thoughts and they disgust you and you're worried about it, it's because you're a good person and you care is the reason you're having these thoughts. And the reason they're sticking around is because you find them disgusting. And
you've got a horror movie playing in your brain that you hate.
Something you don't want.
Something you don't want. Yeah, they're literally the opposite thing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the worst thing you can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting this podcast, but we are sponsoring this episode. VLDL.shop is sponsoring this episode. We have incredible products over there at VLDL.shop, including the TechTown Welcome Bundle, which includes a mug, TechTown pen, don't drop it, and the lanyard. And you get an exclusive welcome from manager Rowan. And there's lots of other incredible merch over there. VLDL.shop, link in the description below. Back to the podcast.
The next question is, how is your mental health currently? How are you now?
Really good, man.
Yeah, currently really good. About a year ago was probably my biggest struggle with anxiety. I haven't struggled too much with depression in probably 2 or 3 years, which is nice. So luckily quite good at the moment.
Oh yeah. I've been good for about a year. Which has been incredible. And I guess I'll just jump straight into.
You might as well jump straight into why
what I did
or what you've done. Yeah.
Because nothing was really working. What I had done was, something I when I kind of committed to fighting is such a weird term because you're battling with yourself, and it really shouldn't be a battle. It should be something you're like, it's weird. But I committed 100% to, I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to do everything right to give myself the most solid foundation to build from. And so I did. I started eating really healthy. I started drinking lots of water, and doing exercise, practicing mindfulness. Like, just trying to create the best version of myself to recover from, which in and to itself helped a little bit.
I remember you got jacked.
I got a little bit jacked.
It actually, that was one of the things as well that I feel is probably the best for my mental health journey as well. Yeah. And I can see the science behind it. Your brain is literally run on what you put into your body. Yeah. So if you're putting good food, oxygen, water into your body, then it's, the fucking science is there to say that your brain's going to start running better, right?
Yeah.
And because that's kind of the journey that I went through as well. That was my second journey, really, was that the first journey was medication. And I think we're going to talk about that.
Yeah. You can just dive into it if you want.
The first part of my journey was, being taken to a doctor and him being like, here's medication. Yeah. And that stigmatized me even fucking worse. Because I'm now, not only do I have a label of depression now, but now I'm on medication. Fucking great. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. God, this defines me as a person.
Yeah. So, while we're talking about it, like, because it is what are your thoughts on antidepressants and medication for yourself and for people
I can see it helps because it did help immediately. Like it helped lessen the depression. It stopped me getting into those real bad days. But after about probably 18 months, I'd say, of being on the medication, I felt that I was it had chopped the top and the bottom off.
Yeah, man.
And I kind of said to myself and to my doctor and to the psychiatrist, I was like, I think I value the top more than I hate the bottom.
Yeah.
So I went off medication, which that was some fucking dark days going off medication.
Yeah,
Jesus
man.
Christ.
There's one of the horrible things about SSRIs is just the weaning off.
Yeah, I remember the worst day going off medication was I was in one of my directing classes at university with John Kellen, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Who's played a bunch
He's played
of roles.
Santa. He's played like a general
Your
commander. He's our
mentor.
He's our
like,
go-to
mentor
cool old guy.
Yeah. And he was
actor.
in The Hobbit as Owen.
We
I
love
can't remember.
We love John Kellen.
Yeah, he was one of my lecturers. But I just remember just being like, again, it's that like fucking thundercloud. I couldn't focus on the class. I just literally, I just remember just being in very classic.
This is coming off antidepressants.
Yeah, coming off antidepressants. I'd been off for maybe a week or two, and it's a very classic like director. We're in a black room, in a black theater room, and sitting in a circle in chairs and stuff, and. I just couldn't focus, and I just felt it welling up in me, this like absolute despair. And I didn't like, it was so visceral that I could feel that I was about to throw up.
Wow.
And I burst out of the room, and I didn't fully make it out of the room, threw up on the floor.
Wow.
And was just so sad. I just lay on the floor next to the vomit and started crying.
This
Wow.
is
It was fucking horrible.
That is such a, I'm so sorry that happened to you. And like ties into the reality where how the mental health can affect the real world. Like it can make you sick. It can like you can like literally break down in front of people. Like that's so.
So I see that that what's it called, medication. It definitely can help, and I believe for me it did help in those early days. It helped me learn the feeling of being depressed was something that was abnormal.
Yeah.
And it gave me the feeling of being normal. And the reason I went off medication was to regain the feeling of being properly happy, the highs.
Having the highs and lows.
Mate.
And basically to what you were saying was that I kind of, well, in talking to my doctor and my psychiatrist, I was like, what can I do myself? And they were, like exercise, healthy eating, water.
Boring.
Sleep.
You're like,
sleep.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I have to do all that?
I know. Like it's weird saying
is
that out
weird.
loud, being like, because it's just so. I don't know. It feels
want a
like
quick fix.
It feels quite condescending to say it as well for some reason, even though it is just like it's so important.
It got me into it got me into exercise, it got me into running, it got me into gardening because I was like, not only do I get outside and get fresh air, I also get fresh.
Oh, sun. The sun is the other one.
It gets
It's like,
the sun. It gets me food out the end of it as well. It got me into cooking because I got to learn how to cook good meals.
Yeah,
I
wish I got into gardening. I could cooking. That wasn't part of my journey. I still am just horrible at both of those things.
And I genuinely think that is a fantastic way of combating it. You can obviously do that with medication as well. But,
Yeah, I guess my opinion with the SSRIs is it's just completely valid.
What does that stand for?
Alan's
It
Googling
stands for selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors.
There you
So
go.
it helps you have more serotonin. I don't know if it's off the top of my
Did you
head.
just know that off the top of your head,
No,
Ali?
I have Google open right now.
Well.
It's the most common type of antidepressant.
Okay, yeah, right.
And I think it's completely valid for a lot of people. I think it's if you need it, take it. But I'd very much treat it as a stepping stone to recovery rather than that being your fix.
Yeah.
I also just want to chuck in a real almost comedic note that I got from my doctor as well. Is I was must have been 21 or something by this stage. Is he was like, with exercise and eating well and sun and all that kind of stuff. He was like, and another good thing you could try is having a bunch of sex because you get.
Let me get on that.
Yeah.
Let me just get straight on that.
I know, and I was like, okay, cool. I'm a pretty nerdy 21-year-old. You expect me to just go out and randomly find sex?
Bro,
Bro, make me feel worse.
He's like, bro, just get fucking. Bro, come on, just get fucking.
Because he was like, it's exercise, and you get the happy chemicals from when you're having sex. I'm like, yeah, I'll just get out. I'll just get on that. I'll just get on that then.
Just walk out of the doctor's room. You, come back with me. Let's go. The thing that really helped was, again, not a professional. I tried psilocybin, some magic mushrooms, which which interact with the brain in a very, very interesting way. It's not legal in New Zealand, so it's really
not legal in many places.
It's not legal in many places at all. It's starting to get legalized in some areas, and there are some clinics that can really, really help out, and guide you through the journey.
I noticed that Australia currently are having pretty wide-ranging clinical trials.
Yeah. I really think it's starting to take off, which is incredible because holy shit, what it can do is amazing. I never committed to it fully because I was too nervous, but I was microdosing, which is just taking a really small amount every day, which I did feel alleviated, like as much, if not more so than SSRIs, without taking the top off as well.
Yeah.
But it didn't fix me because I didn't commit to something called the hero dose, which was, I don't know, that's the unofficial term. It's essentially a massive dose that rewires your brain. But what is legal in New Zealand is ketamine. And I have been taking ketamine every third or fourth night, just when I go to bed, for about over
been a wee while now.
Yeah. I think.
I would say it's been longer than that.
I think I went to, I think it was like November last year or something.
To be clear, ketamine is legal under the right circumstances.
Yeah, under the right circumstances.
Got to be officially getting it.
Yeah. So I'm getting it prescribed, and it arrives in my letterbox. Like I get ketamine delivered to my door, and
that's crazy.
It's nuts. And
what a world we live in.
What a world we live in. And it's a really intense drug, and I imagine, I don't know the science behind this. I think it works the same way as psilocybin does for people, where it's the neurological pathways that your brain has cemented in, like these obsessive compulsive thoughts, these like intrusive thoughts, the emotional reaction you have to these intrusive thoughts, these highways that have been built in your mind get rerouted, like essentially that creates new roads around them. So you can have the intrusive thought and not have the emotional reaction to it, which completely solves the problem. If you don't have the emotional reaction to it, it doesn't reinforce the thought, and it just kind of fades away, which I imagine is how most people deal with intrusive thoughts.
It's like taking the gasoline out of the car.
It's it really is.
There's no emotion there anymore.
The metaphor I heard was, I think one of you guys actually showed it to me, but then this was to do with actually psilocybin, was imagine your mind as a ski field, and the skiers are going down this mountain of your mind covered in snow. And the skiers, each time they go down this mountain, they're kind of building a pathway with their skis, and more skiers will follow that path, and more. And before long, it really builds up kind of the main route down this mountain.
The only way you can go, really.
The only way you can go.
And the skiers represent the thoughts.
And the skiers represent the thoughts, yeah. And what psilocybin does, and what feels like ketamine does for me at least, is it's just a fresh powder of snow that covers the mountain. So these skiers now can just any which direction. And I can't emphasize enough how much it's helped. It's been insane. I thinking back to where I was a year, 2 years ago, where I genuinely thought that was me for the rest of my life, to now where I can just be normal. I'm still very stressed and tired a lot of the time, but it's for very tangible reasons rather than just being at war with yourself.
To be honest, being stressed and tired, if I can see a very tangible reason, almost in a very odd way, makes me happy. Because it's like, oh, okay, there's a reason.
There's a reason.
Been doing something. I've achieved something of whatever.
Yeah.
You have very something in your eyelash, and it's annoying me.
Thank
it's
you.
annoying me that you have a thing in your eyelash.
Been there the entire time?
I've only noticed in the last, I've only noticed in the last 2 minutes, but it's been fucking annoying me, Alan.
When you were in the peak of despair, do you wish you had a park bench?
I wish I had a park bench and a genie.
That's a reference.
I would have gone back to a previous podcast.
I would have, in that scenario, 100% would have taken the park bench. Solve all my mental problems. A
quick summary of that was that if there was a park bench that you sat on and it gave you eternal happiness.
Yeah.
Would you take it?
And to kind of, I don't know, go back to, because I when I posted this Instagram story, and I've spoken about it on my stream and stuff about intrusive thoughts and pure a lot of people are like, holy shit, I have that. And I don't know, I just want to kind of end the spiel about Pure O as with a positive one. Like, I thought I was going to be stuck in it forever, but you don't have to be stuck in it forever. There are things you can do, but do your own research, speak to people, give yourself a solid foundation, to work from,
Go to your doctor.
exercise, sleep, talk to your doctor, just be as healthy as you can, and then and start looking into it. But ketamine and psilocybin has just
Miracles,
feel like they're miracles, like genuinely miracles, and it's so heartbreaking. In particular, the psilocybin is illegal because the amount of people it could help that are not here anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
Because they didn't have the tools to deal with these mental health things is just absurd. It's so disgusting.
I can see the world going through a bit of we're not only going through a mental health kind of renaissance, but we're also going through a drug renaissance at the moment. So I think hopefully in like 5 years we'll be in a much better place in that regard.
Yeah, I really, really hope so because it's like it can be just magic.
What were some good strategies and what were some bad strategies that you used to deal with your mental health?
I think that I really want to talk about this especially around depression, is that the best strategy I've ever found, and I've voiced this to you guys a lot, and I've voiced it to other people as well, is that when I'm in a bad day, and these days I can easily see a bad day, when I wake up feeling down or when I'm experiencing, this is a depression day, is to identify that and say to myself, it's okay to have a bad day, and then not consciously, not make it worse or anything like the thought spirals, but just to go, this is a bad day. I will live it as a bad day. And it in a way almost makes it better because I'm giving myself permission to have that bad day.
It's okay to be not okay.
Yeah, because it's because what I'm saying to myself is this is who I am. And you've had these bad days in the past and you've gotten through them and you know that the next day or the day after that is better, or even that afternoon will be better, or that night. Something will change. This is not the end of the world. So just have the bad day.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's like, it kind of ties back to just the happiness. There's you in episode 1, nobody can ever be happy all the time.
Exactly.
And being a human being is mental. Like the amount of the thoughts and feelings, and we're on a roller coaster ride that nobody knows the controls of. And you do got to ride it out. And everyone's going to have bad days. Mental health definitely, I don't know, gives you a few worse days, but it's just part of the ride. And if you try and there are ways to turn this journey into a positive.
I don't think there's anything that I've done necessarily to make it worse consciously, I guess. The main things that I would have ever done to make especially my depression worse is hiding away and not talking to people, trying to fix it or something. And I don't think I've ever necessarily, apart from the story I told earlier, never consciously done that.
Philosophically, what you said about just accepting, the word acceptance for me has been a massive key word. And I can go, good things that I did. Well, actually, I start with bad things that I did when I was going through thought spirals was fight them.
Yeah.
Fucking fight them.
I can beat you.
I can beat you. And I remember being stuck in I was to continue my story of when I did weed when I was younger, and then for literally a year later after that, I was a mild version of the non-stop thought spirals. I'd be in math class, just stuck in my brain and fucking thought spirals, constantly fighting it, trying to beat it, trying to figure out, trying to problem solve it, exhaustingly trying to figure out how I can beat my brain.
Yeah. Which is if you really think about it, it's how are you going to, you're fighting yourself.
Yeah. And trying to outsmart yourself.
You're trying to outsmart yourself. And it's I mean, if we're going back to this little demon metaphor, it's he's literally, he's being fueled by he's like, what's up? You're trying to fight me?
And you quietly go, well, what if I try this strategy against myself?
Well, yeah.
And it goes, I was there, I heard you strategizing against yourself.
There's a key moment for me was I was trying all these things before anyone told me about psilocybin or ketamine. I did SSRIs for a while, but there were other things I tried. I saw a bunch of people. This is me trying. I didn't know who to get help from, and so I was signing up for everything. And I signed up for this natural kind of person who's he calls himself Dr. Happy or something. And I was like, let's go. And I went there, And he was like, he was like, put everyone on massage table, and he was trying to, like, he was trying to suck the bad energy out with his hands. And I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Oh God, I've signed up for like just like bullshit.
Real spirit, like kind of like airy fairy.
Yeah, airy
crystals.
fairy. And somebody else told me was, just be sure to drink lots of chamomile tea.
You're still into cami though.
I have the occasional cami, but it's not to battle mental health. Like, it's not to battle mental health demons anymore. It's just because it's like a nice, I don't know, tea. But I remember like one of the one of the breakdowns I had was I was in the worst throes of intrusive thoughts, and I was just a mess. And I was like, what can I do? And I put the jug on. I was watching this like, and then I put the chamomile tea in and I like left it to simmer or stew or whatever. And I just broke down. I was like, I'm battling the most intense mental health demon I've ever fought. And the way I'm fighting it is to try and make a cup of chamomile tea.
And this episode is brought to you by Dilma.
Chamomile tea. So I don't know how we got to that.
In summary, the best thing you've ever done to fight mental health
chamomile
was
tea.
chamomile tea.
Chamomile tea.
Great.
Just
Amazing.
if you're in a really shitty spot, just buy chamomile tea and eat the tea bags. Just go.
But so going back. So the worst thing I ever did was fighting it as hard as I can. The best strategy that ever worked for me is the word acceptance, which was, I actually remember I was lying in bed, and this is a few years ago when I had kind of a resurgence of this thought spiral thing. Because I've been kind of on and off battling it for like 25 years. And I remember I was battling it, I was fighting it, trying to outsmart my thought spirals a bit. God damn it, I thought I was done with this. And battling it. And then I remember giving up.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean giving up like I'm going to kill myself. I mean going, I remember literally the words going, oh, you win. I've tried everything.
Yeah.
And it almost immediately felt like the demon just left. I was like, oh.
Not giving him power.
I remember you telling me this and being blown away that you could do that, because you saying, oh, you win. You have to say it from such a genuine place. Because I remember hearing this being like, oh, yeah, I'll do that. And I go, okay, you win. And I said it to myself. And
but you know what you're actually saying is you're saying, I win.
Yeah. But I was saying, I was trying to, right.
And that's the thing. What your point is, though, that you can't artificially.
You can't fake it.
No, you can't.
Thought.
Not
I remember kind of going, oh, I've tried everything. I was like, and I remember as if I was speaking to a demon in my mind, going, oh, I don't know, you know what, you win. You win.
Yeah.
What do you want from me? It was like a real giving out acceptance. What do you want from me? You win. And it just kind of very quickly I remember kind of going, oh. Where is he? Where's he going?
It's amazing. Yeah, you dealt with it's amazing you managed to do that. I used a horse tranquilizer. you just faded him into existence.
It wasn't
out of
instantaneous,
existence.
but I remember that being a strategy that whenever I'd feel it coming back, instead of going, oh fuck, the thought spirals are coming back. Fight it.
Yeah,
just kind of going, oh, they're here. Okay. Let them come.
Yeah.
Let them come.
Yeah. One of the things I want to talk about before we to get too close to the end of our time is the questions back to back that you've got down the bottom is what people have done to help or hinder you and what you've done to help or hinder others. I think mainly for our lovely listeners out there, it's a good one to talk about.
Yeah.
Is that it feels like I'm going to start with the second one. Is it feels like when you see someone that you know and love going through mental health struggles that you want to fix, that's what you were saying earlier with that one. It's like, I will fix you
on the phone. Like, how do I fix you?
What can I do to fix you? And I mean, we've done this joke in our mental health skits. Is it feels like we did it with the button. Like, what can I do to fix you? I will do say anything. Eat an apple. Fucking do some exercise. Do push-ups. Do whatever. I don't know. I'll try fix you. And like, I know when you're trying to help a friend, someone you love, that is coming from a place of love and help. And I want to help you. I want to fix you. But it never feels like it to the other person, to the person who's got depression or to the person who's got anxiety or to the person who's going through their struggles, because you can't quite see what they're going through.
Yeah.
And that's something that I like my fucking whole personality is fix the problem.
Yeah.
And that's not just about mental health. Like if Jen comes home and she's like, oh, this thing happened at work today. I'm like, well, have you spoken to your boss maybe about, redistributing? That's just my fucking personality. And the thing that I've really come to terms with recently is when friends or family are struggling with mental health is just to be there.
Yeah.
Just to talk to them about it, not solve it, just tell me about it. I want to hear about it. And then just kind of just be there and talk about other things and help with your presence, help with just your love, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Don't fix it.
It's kind of the difference between sympathy and empathy. There's a kind of a difference between those two words, and it's focusing on the empathy part of it, which is just kind of climbing down into their hole with them and kind of going, how you doing?
Yeah, this sucks.
This sucks, man.
I'm sorry you're going through this.
I'm sorry you're going through this.
The metaphor, and sometimes it doesn't have to be a metaphor, I always use is just getting a blanket, putting it on them, give them a cup of tea and going.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thumbs up.
You got this.
Yeah. Maybe you don't got this, but
maybe not today, but
maybe not today, but don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Have you tried having an apple? Have you do some press ups?
Yeah.
Like literally, it sounds really weird, but sometimes if someone says to you, I'm not doing well, just going, oh, that fucking sucks.
Yeah.
It's so, because that's what they want to hear. Yes, it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
My brain fucking sucks today.
Yeah.
And having someone go, oh, that sucks. Ooh,
yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah.
And go, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. God.
Thanks for validating
it does
the thing.
suck. Yeah.
Thanks for validating the thing that it does suck.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we did our mental health series, was not to fix your problems. We know we can't just hey, by the way, here's a solution to mental health. The whole thing is that we made the skits to make the topic of mental health more accessible.
Kind of like what I was saying earlier, is that we talk about it ourselves a lot, so we wanted to talk about it with our fans in the form that we know, which is comedy sketches.
And even though we've only made a handful of them, when we haven't been to conventions in a wee while, but anytime we do go to conventions, it's the most common thing people mention to us is they love the mental health sketches. It really making these, and same with when we're streaming or just bumping into fans on the street, like that, more often than not, it is talking about the mental health sketches, even though we just made a handful of episodes. And it really highlights, God, just how normal it is to not be okay and to be dealing with something. Like within Viva, it's not. I think everybody I talk to within Viva like has some journey, has some journey that they've either been on or are currently going through right now.
It's kind of amazing how many people deal with. Yeah,
as soon as you start talking about it, you realize, and it normalizes it so much, and I think that in and to itself is a massive help. Just knowing you're not alone, because you are not alone. The whole world.
That goes back to when I was saying right at the start when it came to labels.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing happened to me when I thought I was literally alone with this weird condition, this thought spiral thing that no one else on the planet has ever dealt with. I genuinely believed that. I thought I'm weird, man. Yeah. And then when my psychiatrist gave it a label, he said, this thing is a common thing that people who have had acid have. The moment he said that, I was like, oh my God, I'm not alone. This is a thing.
I remember having
he put a label on, and I was like, oh, thank fuck.
Yeah. I remember having a very similar thought when I figured out what I had online when I was like just listening to somebody talk. I was like, oh my God, this is what I have. Oh my God. And just the fact that people were discussing it already, and this video had however many tens or hundreds of thousands of views, and the comments below were all like, oh, I'm not alone. Oh, I'm not alone. Like, I was like, I feel that. I'm with you.
Not alone.
Yeah. But then you find out what it is, and you start reading into how many people are just like having the worst time or have been struggling with it. I was like, oh God, this is awful. I wish I didn't know more about this. Yeah. I don't know. Mixed emotions.
Mixed emotions, yeah. I guess we're probably, there's a few more questions here, but I think we're kind of, for as much as you can get in one podcast.
Maybe we can do another one and pick up any bits that we haven't chatted in the future. Let's all give 2 sentences on what the most positive takeaway that we can give. And I think my positive takeaways are that acceptance, giving power to it and yourself, because it is you, and helping others. If you see someone who's struggling, be there for them.
Mine is, you are not alone. Talk to people if you have people in your lives that you can talk to about it. Like I think it's just helps so much, and it will just continue to normalize these journeys that we're going on. and you will get through this.
Yeah.
It's just,
Newer
it's a
days are
rocky
ahead.
patch, but you will get through this.
The same for me is just talk about it, and especially men. I'm gonna say New Zealand men, but I think men in general.
I think men in general.
I mean, all people, all humans, but especially men are renowned for not talking about their feelings as much as women, and I just talk about it. And if you're not a talky person like we're thespians, if you're not comfortable talking about it, honestly, our skits or even this podcast or sharing those kind of things, I really recommend sharing our skits with a mate, those mental health skits, and kind of go, mental health, right?
Yeah.
It's a good way to just start the topic, and then you can kind of edge into the topic. That's why we made them. But talk about it, man. Just start talking about it.
And have an apple.
And but the main thing is just have an apple, and it should typically fixes every mental health
100%
problem.
fixes it.
Yeah.
Jokes.
Check out, there's a sketch linked on screen.
Link
on screen on Spotify.
Before we wrap it out, I just do want to say, if anyone is going through mental health struggles at the moment and you do want to seek out some proper professional advice, we are going to chuck some resources in the description of this episode. So go check out those resources and hopefully you can find some help. Until that time, Rowan, wrap us up.
Yo, we talked about our mental health. Yeah. It's not so great at times, but then if you just do some simple rhymes, then you will always be a I couldn't think of anything to rhyme with, but mental health. You have thought spirals, depression. You have OCD. Doesn't matter. Look at me.
No.
Mental health. You can fix yourself.
If there's anything you take away from this podcast, it's Ron's rap.
Yeah,
That's-
exactly.
Remember to talk about it. Just talk about it.
Yeah.
Just like me and Eminem.
You'll be okay. You got this. You got this.
I call Eminem all the time and we talk about it.
Yeah.
Just talk about it.
I've realized something that we didn't get to at all.
What was that?
in this podcast, and I almost want to do another podcast about it, is anxiety, and anxiety is a superpower.
Yeah.
So maybe we do another podcast on that one
mental
day.
health podcast
Absolutely.
number 2 coming soon.
Anxiety is a superpower. As a superpower.
Cowabunga. That shit's dingo.
Woo!
Oh, you got the t-shirt on as well. I suppose we better go.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.